Imagine American television. Without MASH, it's hard to picture, right? That's because the show wasn't just popular. It fundamentally reshaped what a sitcom could be. Premiering in 1972, during the final years of the Vietnam War, MASH Asterisk was set in the Korean War and masterfully blended humor with heartbreak. Its quirky characters explore both the absurdity of war and the resilience of the human spirit, quickly becoming a fan favorite. Behind the scenes, however, the show was constantly evolving. As it delved deeper into social commentary and complex character arcs, tensions sometimes surfaced. Several beloved stars eventually faced the difficult choice of leaving. Were their departures personal, professional, or driven by creative conflicts? The reasons may surprise you. Let's take a closer look at what really happened. History of MASH. A war story told with heart. There's a lot to unpack. But before we dive in, let's rewind the clock and examine how this legendary series came to life. Like many other iconic TV series, the story of MASH began not on television, but in a book. Back in 1968, Dr. Richard Hooker, the pen name of Korean War surgeon H. Richard Hornberger, published MASH, a novel about three Army doctors, a fictionalized account of his time as a mobile Army surgical hospital doctor during the Korean War. Thanks to its blend of gallows humor with moments of human warmth and bitter reality, the book soon became a bestseller, catching Hollywood's attention. 2 years later, director Robert Altman adapted the novel into the film MASH, a satirical black comedy that was both irreverent and sobering. The film starred Donald Sutherland as Hawkeye Pierce and Elliot Gould as Trapper John, striking a nerve with audiences, especially as the Vietnam War loomed large in American consciousness. The film quickly became a critical and commercial success, winning the Palme d'Or at Cannes and an Academy Award for Best Screenplay. Yet the real cultural explosion came 2 years later, when CBS adapted the concept into a weekly TV show. Created by Larry Gelbart and Gene Reynolds, the television version of MASH premiered on September 17, 1972. It retained the wartime setting and offbeat humor, but introduced a more serialized, character-driven style that allowed for deeper emotional storytelling. Alan Alda stepped into the role of Hawkeye Pierce and quickly became the heart of the series. Although the first season struggled with ratings and was nearly canceled, CBS took a chance and moved it to Saturday nights. With this move, ratings soared, and so did the show's cultural impact. MASH also broke conventions. It was among the first Hollywood comedies to experiment with format, use real war footage, and regularly feature the sound of helicopters instead of a laugh track. Alan Alda, who played Hawkeye, later became a director, writer, and creative force behind the show, pushing for more realism and emotional depth. As MASH matured, so did its characters, but not all actors agreed with the new direction. Some felt their roles were shrinking or becoming caricatures, while others struggled with personal challenges or sought new creative opportunities. Over an 11-season run, MASH saw numerous cast changes, yet remained anchored in a singular mission: to depict the cost of war through compassion, wit, and unbreakable human bonds. With this in mind, let's look at the first major exit from the series, an actor whose departure was so unexpected that the writers chose to kill off his character in a moment that shocked the nation. McLean Stevenson. If you ask longtime MASH fans what moment hit them hardest, they'll likely point to the final scene of Season 3's finale. Abyssinia Henry. Delivered quietly by radar, one line changed everything. Lieutenant Colonel Henry Blake's plane was shot down over the Sea of Japan. There were no survivors. This moment was ground-breaking, not only because it shocked audiences, but because it marked the first major departure of a core MASH cast member, McLean Stevenson. McLean had been vital to MASH from the very beginning. As the affable, often confused commanding officer of the 4077th, his character, Colonel Henry Blake, was a perfect foil to the madness of war. Where Hawkeye and Trapper brought rebellion and wit, Henry Blake brought humanity sometimes frazzled, sometimes clueless, but always well-meaning. During the early seasons, McLean's performance earned him wide praise and a Golden Globe. He was funny, relatable, and deeply loved by fans. Yet behind the scenes, things were not always harmonious. According to interviews and memoirs from cast and writers, McLean grew increasingly frustrated with his role. Whereas the show began as a loose ensemble comedy, it quickly centered on Alan Alda's Hawkeye Pierce. As Alda became more involved in writing and directing, his character took on greater emotional and narrative weight. McLean felt sidelined so much so that in 1975 he told People magazine, "I want to be number one. I want to be the guy carrying the show." Yet this wasn't just about ego. McLean had big ambitions of becoming a star. But like many actors in Hollywood, he was in danger of being typecast. He saw the power of television and believed he had the charisma and talent to anchor a show of his own, seeking opportunities where he wouldn't always be second or third banana. At the end of season 3, McLean informed producers he would not return. Traditionally, sitcom actors are left to have their character written off gently, reassigned, or sent off to marry, but MASH's creators, Larry Gelbart and Gene Reynolds, saw an opportunity to do something bold. They wanted to remind viewers that MASH was, at its heart, a war story where not everyone makes it home. And so came about the legendary Abyssinia Henry episode. There were no survivors. There is silence, no dramatic music, no laugh track, no helicopter noises, just faces in stunned shock and the beep of surgical equipment. The moment in TV history was one of the first where a popular sitcom character was killed off permanently and without warning. Only a handful of cast members knew the ending in advance. Gary Berghoff, who played Radar, was tipped off to prepare. As the episode aired, thousands of letters arrived at CBS. Some praising the honesty, others angry at the sudden loss. Larry Gelbart defended the decision, saying, "We wanted to say that not everybody gets to go home." McLean's post-MASH career, however, was less successful. He signed a deal with NBC, starring the McLean Stevenson show, which lasted only one season, followed by Hello, Larry, which fared even worse. Despite his regrets, McLean continued to work in television, though he never found the same level of success or emotional connection with audiences as he had playing Henry Blake. When he died in 1996 at 68, tributes poured in from fans and colleagues. Alda remembered him as a wonderful actor and a good man, and Berghoff called him a light-hearted spirit who brought joy to everyone around him. Ironically, McLean's departure gave the show its soul. Though he left to find his big break, the role he walked away from became the most enduring of his career. Wayne Rogers' exit from MASH, by contrast, was quiet, complicated, and full of behind-the-scenes drama. While McLean received a farewell episode and historic send-off, Wayne Rogers simply disappeared. One episode he was there, the next he was gone. No goodbye, explanation, or closure. To understand why, we return to the beginning. Wayne Rogers played Trapper John McIntyre, one half of the original comedic duo defining MASH's early seasons. Alongside Alda's Hawkeye Pierce, he was a central figure of the 4077th. Their chemistry was magnetic, and audiences loved their fast-paced banter, mischief, and unshakable friendship. Like an odd couple going to war with scalpel jokes. Behind the scenes, tension brewed. Wayne had signed on expecting a true ensemble show with equal screen time, but as the series evolved, the spotlight shifted toward Alda. Hawkeye became the moral and emotional center. Alda, a gifted writer and director, contributed heavily to the show's direction. Initially, Wayne accepted this, but he soon felt sidelined. Trapper John went from leading man to supporting character. As Wayne later explained, it wasn't about ego. It was about storytelling integrity. Trapper didn't have much to do. He was one of two buddies, and then he became the guy who nodded at everything Alan said. Unlike McLean, Wayne chose a quiet exit, declining to renew his contract after season 3. The producers didn't know he was gone until shortly before season 4 filming. Adding to the peculiarity, Wayne had never formally signed a contract. He was working on a handshake deal. When threatened with legal action, there was no basis, as he hadn't broken any agreement. His departure was abrupt, forcing writers to rework season 4's opening to explain Trapper John's discharge while Hawkeye was on leave. Audiences were shocked. No farewell scene, no hospital party, no heartfelt goodbye. Mike Farrell then joined as B.J. Honeycutt, a grounded, emotionally complex, and less rebellious replacement, shifting the show's dynamic from buddy comedy to a softer, introspective tone. Surprisingly, MASH grew deeper in Trapper's absence. Wayne continued in TV and films, but eventually pursued a successful career as a financial investor and commentator. He had studied history at Princeton and later built a career on Wall Street. By the 1990s, he appeared regularly on Fox News cash-in discussing economics and policy. Despite stepping away from acting, he occasionally returned for TV movies or roles and often joked about his MASH days. There appeared to be no lasting bad blood with the cast. Aldo once said, "Wayne is one of the smartest people I've ever worked with. I miss him a lot when he left." Their friendship endured until Wayne passed in 2015 at 82. His fans still love him for Trapper's mischievous grin and his appeal. Finally, while actors have mostly quit due to new opportunities opening up, many quit the series because it was emotionally demanding. Gary Berghoff, the heart of the team, quietly left without celebration or fanfare.